Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can conduct your background research. Okay, now the aim of the game here is that you are looking for reliable sources of information. So places that have a .edu, .org, or .gov ending to their URL are usually okay, especially with the types of questions that we investigate at school. Now, using .com websites is possibly okay, but you just need to make sure that you're checking the reliability of the source. So, looking at this experiment where we're changing the type of liquid used to water a plant and seeing how high it grows, what might be some background research that I need to conduct? Okay, well, let's say that we have a starting question. And our starting question in this case is, why do plants need water to grow? Okay, that's my starting question. I want to find two sources of information to start off with. And then when I find those sources of information, I want to write down what the main ideas are. So, the first thing that you're probably tempted to do is to go to ChatGPT or some other generative AI website and just ask the question and copy and paste the answer. Well, that's problematic because not only is it plagiarism, but you just have no idea if the information you're getting is even good or not. And there is a better way to use the tool, which I will show you in the next video. But to start off with, it's helpful if you know how to do some research yourself. So here I've just opened up Google and I've started off by putting in water and plant growth. I haven't even copy and pasted the question, just the key parts from the question, the key words from the question. I've put that into Google, and again, we get this AI overview, but I'm going to ignore it for now because having a look at some of the places it's getting the information from, a landscaping design company, well, what do they necessarily know about the science behind watering plants? Okay, they probably have a fair idea of when to water your plants, but they may not necessarily know a whole lot about the science of it. Okay, now here we've got a .edu website, so well they might have a better idea. Okay, West Virginia University, they probably have a fair idea of what's going on there. Okay, so let's see, how plants use water. Okay, that could be pretty useful. So now we have a little bit of text to read. And the thing that I want to be thinking about as I read this information is I want the main points, the three main points. Okay, so let's start off reading. Water is an essential nutrient for plants and comprises up to I think this is meant to say 9.5% of plants' tissues. It is required for a seed to sprout. Okay, so it's required for a seed to sprout. And as the plant grows, water carries nutrients throughout the plant. Water is responsible for several important functions within plant tissue. Okay, so already I've got some important information. Okay, it's an essential nutrient, but in particular, it's required for a seed to sprout. Okay, that's a pretty useful key piece of information. All right. Let's put this down. So I need the source. So the source is from West Virginia University. So I'm going to write that down. Okay. So I think it's IA. Okay. And then I'm going to insert my link. So I'm going to copy my link. I'm going to highlight my source, right click it, and then click insert link and then paste. Okay, so the main ideas. Okay, first one, it is required for a seed to sprout. Okay, so I'm going to write that one down. It is required for a seed to sprout. Oh, my spelling. I hope yours is better than mine. All right, let's look for another one. Water is necessary for photosynthesis, which is how plants use energy from the sun to create their own food. During this process, plants use carbon dioxide from the air and hydrogen from the water absorbed through their roots and release oxygen as a byproduct. Okay, ooh, that's quite complicated. Maybe I don't quite understand exactly what that is, but it's got something to do with photosynthesis. Okay, that's a key idea. Okay, so it's needed for photosynthesis. Right, and I'm a little bit unsure about that one because this piece of information doesn't super help me understand what that is, but I can come back to that later. Okay, that's just the main point from this source. Okay, and skimming through this, something that pops out to me is this bottom paragraph. Okay, low moisture will cause browning of plant tissue and leaf curling, eventually leading to plant death. Okay, that's probably an important point. So, low moisture, well, that just means not enough water. Okay, so not enough water leads to, what did they say? They said that the plant browns and then it eventually dies. Okay, so it leads to plant browning and then dying. Okay. All right. Let's look for another. Source of information. So back to my Google search, and if I'm looking through here, .com, Swan Hose, sounds like another landscaping company. Landscape design, probably don't know much about the science of it. Again, another .com website, and here we've got a .gov website. Okay, this is the National Institute of Health. Okay, interesting. What have they got to say about water? Okay, so this is actually a proper scientific journal article, and so this is going to have some really dense information. It's going to have a lot of information. It's going to be super difficult to read. But the trick with a lot of these journal articles is that you just look at the first paragraph and see if there's any information that kind of jumps out at you. Okay? Because the first paragraph often gives you the overarching idea from the whole article. But I'm going to show you how to use generative AI in the next video when you come across something like this. Okay, so water covers 70% of the surface of the Earth. Okay, well, that's not super helpful for what I'm talking about. It's a renewable resource. Again, not super relevant to what I'm researching. Here we go. For land plants, including crop species, fresh water is a basic requirement for life. Okay, I understand that. Fresh water is a basic requirement for these plants. Okay, so I can put that in. So water is a basic requirement for life. Okay, that makes sense. I don't need to put the source in. Okay, so what's the source here? We had, what is this? The National Library of Medicine. Okay. The National Library of Medicine. I'm going to copy my link. And I'm highlighting the text. Right click, insert link, paste my link, click OK. There we go. All right, 2 more pieces of information. So it's a requirement for life. Here we go. The very next sentence. Water is a common trigger for seed germination. Okay, that sounds important. So water is a trigger for seed germination. Ooh, I'm going to put a little asterisk there. What is germination? It's not really explained here. Okay. Its uptake from the soil facilitates inorganic mineral nutrition. Oh, geez, that's complicated. Okay. There's a lot of words here. Finally, water loss by transpiration from the stomata of leaves is at once a byproduct of gas exchange. Uptake from photosynthesis. Okay, so it's got something to do with photosynthesis. Okay, so water is lost by photosynthesis, possibly. Okay, so that's kind of the idea I think I'm getting from that sentence. All right. Or it's somehow used by photosynthesis. Okay, so is lost or used by photosynthesis. Okay, again, I'm a little bit confused on that one. So now I'm going to have a look at my links to other research. I just researched 2 articles. Did they say the same thing, or did they say anything differently? Okay, well, they kind of said the same thing, right? Something about photosynthesis. So water is used for photosynthesis. Okay, they both agree on that. It's a requirement for life. And this one, they both actually said it's required for seeds to sprout. Now, if I actually Googled what is germination, I would find that it's the same thing, same word, really, that can be used for sprout. Okay, sprout, germination, they mean the same thing. Okay, so, whoops. Okay, I held shift and then hit return to go down a few lines. Okay, so it's triggers seeds to sprout. And they kind of agree on this last point as well. Not enough water leads to death. And this is saying that water is required for life. It's just saying the same thing, but kind of in reverse. So plants need water to survive. So here I've got 2 different sources, and they've both kind of told me the same thing, right? And they seem like reputable sources. Well, then these main ideas are probably correct. Okay? I at least have a better idea that they are correct because I have multiple sources telling me the same thing that are kind of reliable. Now, as I was going through that research, I kind of had some questions as I went. So, for example, it's needed for photosynthesis, but what is photosynthesis? Well, maybe I'm not too sure what that is. So I'm going to actually include that as a question that I could research. Okay, so what is photosynthesis? Okay, and in my head I'm thinking, what has, like, water? What's water got to do with photosynthesis? And then the next one I had was, what is seed germination? Okay, I don't know what that is. What is seed germination? And so now I would do another round of research, okay? Questions lead to more questions. That's the idea of background research. Okay, so now I could look up photosynthesis with the goal of thinking about what's water got to do with it, get some sources, write down the main ideas, and then see if other sources say the same thing, and so on and so on and so on.